guys, TrueGreen7 here, and you know how I like to spread positivity, unless I'm feeling a little sad and want everybody else to be as sad as I am. But fortunately for you, I'm feeling pretty positive today. However, there are a bunch of Pokemon that fans seem to have negative feelings about, and whether or not these feelings are justified, I'm gonna try to shine a flattering little light on these unpopular Pokemon. In this video, I'm gonna focus on a few Pokemon that are unpopular for various reasons, and find all the good things I can talk about to defend them, like a cool origin, clever name, underrated Pokedex entry, and more. But of course, I'll mention the reason they're unpopular for a few seconds. I really hope this can become a series so I can eventually talk positively about every Pokemon that all of you guys want to be praised. Keep in mind that some Pokemon here are more popular than others. There are some relatively popular Pokemon that could appear on this series, but have traits that fans constantly bash. And I totally don't think it's necessary to like these Pokemon after watching this video, as long as you enjoy the cool stuff I'm presenting about them. My goal is to make you slightly appreciate them more, even if it's just by 1%. We're starting right off the bat with some of the most unpopular Pokemon in the franchise's history, the elemental monkeys, Simisage, Simisear, and Simipour. While Simisage is slightly more popular than its simian brothers, they're all gonna get the same treatment. Let's make it understood that I actually like their pre-evolutions. They're not part of this. The Simis are disliked for practically every reason. They look goofy and have better counterparts. Simisear is literally the most unpopular Pokemon in Japan, and Simipour is one of the few Pokemon I really dislike. But I don't want to get caught up on the negatives. Okay. Let's begin with the good stuff. First off, they're pretty great offensively. They virtually have 100 in attack, special attack, and speed. That's pretty good. Simisage is kinda cool looking, and while that's a pretty subjective statement, at least Simisage's typing and concept is pretty believable considering monkeys, you know, live in trees. Its name refers to the sage plant, but may also be a nod to the possible origin of all three Simis. The three wise monkeys is one of the few Japanese proverbial motifs that is actually popular in the West as well, making these monkeys very appropriate for an American-based region. The three wise monkeys embody the principles of see no evil, hear no evil, and speak no evil. In the West, they represent moral irresponsibility, people who look the other way when confronted with evil, almost pretending to be ignorant and not taking responsibility. It's a cool little principle that was eventually gonna become inspiration for monkey Pokemon. I like it a lot. And if we indulge in this origin, Simipour would represent see no evil, considering its eyes are purposely closed. Simisear would be hear no evil, considering it's the only one with a completely different ear design resembling a seared ear. Pansear even has its hands to its ear as if it can't hear. And by default, Simisage is speak no evil. It even has a thumbs up, a speechless gesture that indicates everything is fine. They also seem to be counterparts to the actual starters. I think it's a cool idea to have secondary starters even if they're not as cool as the actual starters. They are lucky that they didn't debut in a region in which the starters are super popular. Next we have Chargebug. Grubbin is pretty cute and Vikavolt crazy cool, but the middle stage in this Alolan family is often ridiculed. I used to think middle stage bug Pokemon had a past that made them untouchable. Almost every cocoon Pokemon is relatively lame when compared to the other Pokemon in their family, but for some reason Chargebug isn't immune to mockery. People seem to dislike its cubeness. I never knew that was a bad thing. They say it looks like a bus. I mean, it does, but like, why is that a reason to hate it? Let me let you in on a few of the cool things Chargebug possesses. First, it stores energy like a battery. It's literally the battery Pokemon, so I'm kinda confused as to why its shape is a mystery to some. It's a pretty clever little design. Vikavolts carry these things in their mandibles and use them like a battery. Its eyes even resemble battery indicators, almost looking as if this thing is 80% charged, and who doesn't want their devices to be 80% charged? That's a good amount of power. Plus, this little piece of animation is the cutest. Coincidentally, the next Pokemon I'm going to highlight was designed by Hitoshi Ariga, who also designed the Chargebug family. Our next Pokemon is Aegislash. And yes, considering the anime, an official statement from the Pokemon Company, and the dictionary pronounce it this way, we're gonna call it Aegislash. Its line is somewhat unpopular for the fact that they are just swords, but Aegislash is a sword and a shield, so it's not half bad. That, and the fact that it's amazing competitively. I mean, not just like amazing, it's seriously one of the best in the whole metagame. Its stats and cool ability have made it way more popular than it would have been if it wasn't an amazing battler. It could change its stance, allowing it to be both offensive and defensive. That's a pretty unique concept, but most people know this. What you may not know is that its name is really significant. Aegis is the mythical shield of Zeus and Athena, his daughter, from Greek mythology, and almost all of Aegislash's names across different languages refer to mythical weapons like the sword Excalibur. The Japanese name even refers to the legendary Sumerian king Gilgamesh. That's a very interesting allusion considering Aegislash are said to have defended generations of kings. What an epic Pokemon! Another regally inspired Pokemon is Druddigon, who's probably the least popular dragon Pokemon. People think it's ugly and has a hideous color scheme, and just like many unpopular Pokemon, it's rarely used competitively. What I don't get is how it's constantly brought up as an example of why Generation 5 is bad, because I actually really like Druddigon. Its seemingly functionless wings are actually used to absorb sunlight, which gives this Pokemon enormous amounts of energy. This parallels most lizards who are cold-blooded and need sunlight to regulate their body temperature. Druddigon is known to lack energy and stiffens up when it's cold, like at night. This fact and its rock-hard head mimic gargoyles, one of the inspirations for this Pokemon. And speaking of its rock-like head and color scheme, this Pokemon has to be based on the red-headed Rockagama. It just has to. Some people think Druddigon's colors are unnatural looking, so I wonder how they would feel when realizing that a real-life animal looks identical to Druddigon. This piece of trivia, accompanied with its resemblance to a bunch of European dragons, makes this Pokemon very well-rounded in terms of design. Druddigon's appearance wasn't a mistake. It adds way more depth to a Pokemon that was destined to be unpopular due to its lack of an evolution. It may be the most dragony and lizardy of all the dragon and lizard Pokemon. Another relatively unpopular Pokemon that lacks an evolved form is Chimecho. I personally think that a super cute Pokemon like Chimecho should automatically be thought of as worthwhile simply based on its cuteness, but some people don't like it. Maybe its rarity contributed to its unpopularity, since not a lot of people know it exists, and when they find one, it's not particularly powerful. But I could say it has a mighty fine ability, being Levitate, and has access to a good amount of supportive moves. To some Westerners, it may not resemble any wind chime we're familiar with, but take a look at these Japanese wind chimes. Yeah, it's a real-life Chimecho. Their luck-bringing properties may be another justification for Chimecho's psychic typing, and its tendency to be active during the hot seasons alludes to how wind chimes are most often seen during the Japanese summers. I particularly find it sweet how they float on the wind and use their head suckers to hang from trees. It's a really pleasant Pokemon, and I even find its color scheme to be very decorative and soothing. And our last Pokemon can also be found in warm climates. Palisand is yet another example of an inanimate object that fans generally don't find amusing, but I think it's super rad. Once again, like Chandelure, its ghost typing justifies why we have an inanimate object as a Pokemon, since it is a possessed sandcastle. There are just so many cool lore-based aspects to this Pokemon. Listen to this. Possessed people controlled by Sandygast transformed its sand mound into a castle. As it evolves into a Palisand, its ghostly powers become stronger. This Pokemon attracts other Pokemon and then attacks them, stealing their life force. The bones of its victims are buried beneath the castle. That's messed up, yo! Plus it has a really good shiny that is based on the black sand found in Hawaii. Its name is also pretty clever. Palisand sounds like a pile of sand, but also sounds like the word palace and sand. Another fun fact is how in Japanese, its name, Shirudesna, literally translates into, "That's a castle, huh?" while also containing the Japanese pronunciation of the English word death, desu, and a pun on the Japanese word for sand, suna. Good job on the naming department, guys. I like how the company is always aware when they make weird Pokemon and try to give them comedic names to complement the wacky concepts. Now we're done for this video, but if you want me to defend more unpopular Pokemon, please like this video to show support and subscribe to get a notification when part 2 comes out. Following me on Facebook and Twitter will also help. And if you really enjoyed, please consider checking out my Patreon page to help out even more. Bye!